All right, we're going to open up the old mailbag here, and somebody sent a letter, a question. So here we go. This is from Eric from North Carolina. He said, I wanted to see if you have ideas or methods for going up the guitar neck in different scale patterns. All right, good question. So people talk about playing up the neck. Playing up the neck is the same as playing down the neck in some respects, okay? So for example, here's a good tip. Like, can you play a G major scale, okay? All right, now take a capo, put it on the 5th fret. Can you play the same scale? Now here's the chord. So that's from the G string, because it's a G scale. Now you are going to be your own capo. Alright? Now you could hold the whole thing and go like this and literally be your own capo and start playing this. Or you could kind of learn where the notes are at and then reshape them as you go. Right? So now you take something you can play down here and you see if you can play it up here. So I'm going to play a simple melody. I'm going to play Lost All My Money But a $2 Bill. I'm going to say lost all my money but a $2 bill. $2 bill, boys, $2 bill. Lost all my money but a $2 bill. I'm going to play that same melody up the neck here, because this G chord, one finger G chord, translates to this. That's your capo. Well, all of a sudden now, like maybe you know this kind of thing. I'll do the same thing now with some double stops. Let's say this. There's a little C chord, the 4 chord. So you could do this with the capo and literally see where you're going. Like, okay. Now you try it and you're the capo. And then just like, yeah, we've got a 1-finger C chord here. Well, I got a capo, there's my C chord, or not a C chord anymore, it's the 4 chord. Okay, so that's one thing you could do. Now I would recommend Eric, that you'd also maybe learn a G run out of that position. So here, my G run here. Okay, so I'm going to capo 5 and play. Okay, and then can you do that without the capo? Right? Because you've heard of like the cage system and stuff like that. The people say, well, okay, this is like that position here, be like a G chord here. but it could also be this, because it's not really possible to like capo or bar the whole G chord. That's uncomfortable, right? Well, see, then you could start, you got analogies here. G. Okay, then I go to here. So the 4 chord is kind of straight down. Well, that's going to be true here. So I'll go, and then I'll move that over a string. Kind of end up with that position. Right? So that's kind of nice. So in essence, like, you're doing the same thing you do down here. You're your own capo, or you account for the open strings out of a position. Okay? So then, what positions are we doing here? Well, okay, so this is G. 2 frets higher would be A. 2 frets higher would be B. B and C are always right next to each other, so there's C. 2 frets up is D. 2 frets up is E. So those are the different keys you can play in, out of that position. Okay? Right? Okay, so then the C chord, I think, is another good position. So I can start moving that. I just moved that up to D. Here I'm moving it up to E. Here I'm moving it up to F. Here I'm moving it up to G, 2 frets higher from F to G. Okay, then you see if you can do that. Like here, I'll put it at the 5th fret again. See if I can do that without a capo. So I have to reshift the fingers and account for the notes. I guess I could kind of hold it. There's your C shape. So like here's another thing you could do, Eric. Take like Billy in the Low Ground. You play Billy in the Low Ground. Maybe even just that first line out of that C shape, and start moving it up the neck. Reshape your fingers. If you don't know where that is, put the capo on, play with the capo. I guess technically, like, you could like really be your own capo and try to hold the whole thing down. I think it's better to just learn where they're at. And then you can play Billy in the Low Ground at different frets. Now, a lot of people teach what they call the caged system, right? And it's fine. It's kind of different ways to get to the same answer. That means the C position, A position, G position, E position, and D position. I'd rather, it's true. It's a good system. There's a couple reasons I might get into another time why I don't like the acronym, but it is true, that you can move one chord shape and it becomes another chord. And it is true that people will play from a chord shape. So like a lot of times, like, and I think one thing you could take from the cage system is they say there's 5 different positions, C, A, G, E, and D. So you can think, oh, there's 5 different positions on the guitar. That may be true. I'm not 100% sure it is. That may be true. a scale out of that position. That means I can play a song out of that position. I can play a scale out of that position. Okay, well that means I can play a song out of that position. 1 1 5 5 6 6 5 4 4 3 3 2 2 1 1 3 5 1 1 5 5 6 6 5 4 4 3 3 one thing I love about this is that position is always connected to this position. They're always tied right into each other. Wherever it is on the guitar, just like a G here is always tied to that. A C here, that's a C chord by the way, we haven't said that yet, that's a C chord, is always tied to that. Well, that's cool. A D here is always tied to that. Right? So, you know, if you can think in a scale, if you can think in a chord, 1 3 5, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. There's my scale. 1 1 5 5 6 6 5. If I can play, you know, Twinkle Twinkle, you know, I can play any song, really. I can play any song I can remember what it sounds like. Now I'd have to learn the scale, maybe all the way across or something like that. But that's how we think about Up the Neck, man. It's not about that these notes are different. To sum it up, here's what we're thinking. We're thinking out of a chord shape, and we're combining that chord shape with where the scale is, and then we can play, you know, anything we can play down here, we can play up here. Any of the techniques I know down here, I can play up here. You know, that was in G, that was in D. Here it is in C. So, take your G licks, move them up to C, for example. Right? So, that's a really good start. I guess I should tell you maybe the next chapter while we're at it. So, what the next chapter is chord progressions, right? So all these are individual chords, right? But let's talk chord progressions. And chord progressions are like, you know, G, C, and D. Well, there's another way we talk about that in music, which is like 1, 4, and 5, right? 1, 4, 5. Well, the guitar is set up for you to know what 1, 4, and 5 are. Because 1 is here, 4 is straight across, and 5 is 2 frets up. It's like a knight in chess moves in an L shape. And that's pretty much anywhere on the guitar. Of course, the B string messes that up a little bit. So if I'm in the key of F, there's 1, there's 4, there's 5. Which means I can follow a chord progression. If I'm in the key of E, and here's E, there's 1, there's 4, there's 5. 1, 4, 5. Okay. 1. See how I did that? 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. There's my chords. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. See, it ends up being like that C position because that's the one on that string. 1, 4, 5. C, F, G. Right? Anywhere I go. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. Right? So like the G position. 1, 4, what's that? G, C, D is 2 frets higher. Okay, anywhere I do that. Here's 1, 4, 5, G, C, 2 frets higher. I mean, it's not G and C, it's the G position, the C position, and then 2 frets higher. 1, 4, 5, 1. Anywhere I go, that's what it is. 1, 4, 5, 4, 5. Okay? What if I did this? This position, what if that's 1? 1, 4, 5. That's 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. Okay? You know, and now we did the chords that go like that, which means like that's the G position, you know, the C position, the F position. Well, what are the other ones? Well, the chords that go like the bar chords. Okay, if I'm doing bar chords, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5. It's a little harder if you start on the A string because you're like 1, 4, 5, because it'd be like that one. The chords just become physically difficult, but it's still the same principle. You know, and then yeah, you know, you can start to find, you know, different licks and stuff. You know, like, I mean, here, what key am I in here? Okay, I guess that's a B flat, 1, 4, and 5. Flat 3 up, flat 3 down. Okay, 4 chord comes. Here I go. Flat 3 up. I guess the 5 is here. Back to 1. There you go, man. Eric, thanks for chiming in, and it's good hang. All right, y'all have a good one.